Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Ghost Love and Vise Squad, brought to you by the Andromeda's Fly Company and Fly Life Company, our sponsors. After you watch today's video, please head over to our awesome online stores at fishingoutdoors.ca or .net for U.S. and international shoppers. Today in the vise, we're going to tie a variation of the Purple Haze parachute atoms. So here we go. Right now we have a size 12 R7 dry fly hook in the vise. Going with the size 12 just for viewers' sake. Normally I'd go 14 or smaller, but parachute atoms, or parachute flies in general, are really hard to get looking right. In fact, this was a request for that reason. So we're going to leave it a little bit bigger, better viewing purposes. Start your thread down the hook and stop right around the bend, snip off your tag end. Right now we have a 8/0 Semperfli classic wax thread in black. 8/0 is probably about the biggest I want to go for this. And we're going to take moose body hair, just about probably 10 at most fibers. I probably have like 6 or 7 here. And stack them, get your points aligned. That's going to be your tail. Measure it out to about the body length, about the hook shank length. And then tie them in just like that. Moose body hair makes a great stiff tail. That floats really well. Don't bring this all the way to the eye of the hook. Bring it to about where you want to start the parachute, where you want to put your parachute material, and use that as a measurement tool later on. A couple wraps in front of it, sticks up, and then clip it off. Alright, so now we're going to tie in our parachute material. Right here I have some poly yarn, but I have it doubled over for a bigger, bushier parachute. I like to do that on these bigger flies. Anything smaller than a size 14, I probably wouldn't do that. But 14s or 12s when I tie them, I like to do that. So we tie down the middle right there, put a couple wraps in front, and put a couple wraps behind. And then we're just going to put a few wraps underneath to give it the right shape. Just like that. Do not fully wrap up it like you would, like where you would start the hackle yet. We'll do that later on. I like to grab a couple of these scragglies out of here. It makes it a little bit easier for tying sake. It's not going to affect anything. Taking a couple fibers out of that poly yarn isn't going to really bother anything. So now for hackle, I have this Whiting Farms. It's like a light brown, kind of a dark ginger maybe. I don't know. It was gifted to me from a half saddle that I have, or half cape. And we're just going to tie it in so that you guys can see what I'm doing. I'm going to tie it in like that, only on my side, at an angle. And that'll keep it in place, and I can move up and down accordingly to see what measurement I want. So I want to have enough that I have a little bit of stem to wrap when I start wrapping the hackle, but not too much. Just enough to get going correctly. So now we're just going to pinch them and then pinch with the thread. Once again, not going all the way up yet. Stop right there. And then clip off what I have left from the way I tied it in. With that standing straight up, it's going to be out of your way through the rest of the process. Now we're going to bring our thread back, not quite to the tail yet. And we're going to tie in this floss. It's kind of a dark winish color. I'm not sure exactly what it was called. As you tie that in, as I like to do when I tie in floss, is I'll tie in with a lot of tag end, and then I'll pull it back to where I want it. It makes it a little bit easier to tie in the first place. Bring it back to the post, And then we're just going to wrap this. My first strap I like to do over top of the tail. Brings all those fibers back together, just don't push them downward. Just enough to keep them together. Nice collecting wrap, if you will. And then we're just going to wrap nice and evenly up the body of this fly. When I get to the post, I'll do a couple extra ones. That way, as I'm tying it off, I have a little bit of wiggle room if I loosen up. Pull it this way against the pair post and then wrap over top of it. Snip off your extra. Now we're going to tie in this purple kapok dubbing, but before I do that, I'm going to wrap my thread over top where I haven't yet. Give it a rougher surface, better durability. Bring it back to where I started. We're going to just slightly grab this kapok dubbing, twist it on to the thread. Any small superfine dubbing will do. I prefer kapok dubbing personally on most of my dries, but it's not required by any means. Do a couple wraps that way. And watch right here. Alright, that's a very important part, because if we don't cover that when tying in the dubbing from the back of the post, it's not going to get covered from the front. Maybe even a couple more. Really cover it. You want to make sure you're not loosening up like that. If you are, just redub it on. Now we're going to bring thread to the front now that we cleared that. Add a little bit more dubbing to your thread. And we're actually going to dub backwards here. Just start at the eye. Come back towards the post. Just a wee bit more dubbing. Set your post. Make sure you leave a little bit, about half a wrap left before we do this next step. And we're going to tilt this hook at about 45-degree angle. Take that last half a wrap. We're going to use it to come up the post. Sure you have all your strands under control. If you need to, snip a couple out. Better do that than have them slipping out into your hackle later. So now we are going to create the post that we want. Make sure your wraps are all touching. If not, just unwrap a little bit until you try it like I just did. Continue wrapping, and then we're going to do wrap all the way back down, cutting off any crazies that you have going on. Now, with this angle, it's going to make tying in this post 100% easier. And there are 1,000 different ways to tie parachute posts. I mean, everyone keeps trying them. This is the way that works best for me. If you know a better way for you, then do it, but I'm going to show you my way. So we are just going to wrap this hackle. Mind you, it's an oversized 12. When I do a parachute fly, I will always oversize the hackle. I think it gives a better presentation on the water, and it's a little bit easier to work with. So now that we've cleared this entire parachute, the entire post, we're going to do one more wrap. Just to squeeze it on. And now we're going to bring our thread up, and we are just going to catch that feather. 2, 3 wraps, don't do any more. If you do too many, you're running out of room on the post, creating a big gap. So now that we snip that out, which works really well with these squeeze scissors, especially the curved ones, do 2 more wraps over top to get the butt end. And now You can use a whip finisher. I'm going to half hitch. I like the control of a half hitch. Slip it over top, keep pressure. And if you're going to grab your hackle fibers, just take your scissors, closed, and then do one more. So put them there to guide my thread back. Tighten down, snip it out. Now we're going to take our razor scissors and make a nice clean cut for this parachute. I usually do about the width of the hackle post. Measure that out. Nothing has to be exact. And there we have the variation of the purple haze that I like to do. Tied in an R7 dry fly hook. Make sure you're getting all of your parapost out of there. Pretty fishy little pattern. Works well. I don't know why the fish love purple. There's been some studies. Whatever it is, can't hate it because it just works. So thank you for watching today's video. If you enjoyed it, please hit the like button, the subscribe button, and that little reminder bell so you don't miss any of our future episodes. Also, please check out our awesome online stores at fishingandoutdoors.ca or .net for U.S. and international shoppers. Really appreciate you guys out there. Hope you have a great Sunday. See you next week.